The desert stretched endlessly in both directions, broken only by the occasional Joshua tree and the shimmer of heat rising from cracked asphalt. Maya Chen sat in her disabled Tesla, air conditioning failing, watching her phone display 0 bars of service. The irony wasn't lost on her. Head of a tech company specializing in connectivity, now completely cut off from the world. A figure emerged from the wavering heat, walking steadily along the shoulder. As he drew closer, she could make out a young man, perhaps 20, with rich dark skin and work clothes dusted with sand. He carried a worn canvas messenger bag and moved with the unhurried pace of someone accustomed to walking long distances. "Car troubles?" he called out, approaching cautiously but without fear. Maya rolled down her window. "Dead battery, I think. And my phone." She gestured helplessly at the device. "Mind if I take a look?" His voice carried a slight southern accent, warm and steady. She hesitated for a heartbeat. Out here, 40 miles from Palm Springs with no cell service and no other cars in sight, she had little choice. Something in his calm demeanor put her at ease. "I'm Marcus," he said, setting down his bag and opening her hood with practiced ease. "Maya." She stepped out, grateful for the shade cast by the open hood. Marcus studied the engine, then reached into his bag and withdrew a small electronic device. "Battery tester?" he explained, connecting it to her car. "Yeah, she's completely drained, but I think I can help." From his bag he produced jumper cables and what looked like a portable battery pack. "This should get you going again." As he worked, Maya found herself watching his hands, strong, sure, economical in their movements. Everything he did seemed purposeful, unhurried. When was the last time she'd met someone who wasn't constantly checking their phone or rushing to the next appointment? "You do this often?" she asked. "Rescue stranded motorists?" Marcus smiled without looking up. "Not exactly. I volunteer with Desert Rescue on weekends. Today I was hiking back from a water cache maintenance run." He gestured toward the mountains. "Lot of people get in trouble out here." The engine turned over smoothly. Maya felt relief flood through her. "How much do I owe you?" She reached for her purse. "Nothing," Marcus said, packing up his tools. "Just drive safe, and maybe consider keeping some emergency supplies in the car." She stared at him. "You won't take anything?" "I've got what I need," he said simply, slinging his bag over his shoulder. "At least let me give you a ride somewhere." Marcus considered this. "There's a bus stop about 5 miles up the road, if you're heading that way." During the drive, Maya learned that Marcus worked construction during the week and spent weekends volunteering with search and rescue. He'd grown up in foster care, aged out at 18, and was slowly saving money for paramedic training. "Why rescue work?" she asked. "People helped me when I needed it most," he said, watching the desert roll past. "Seems right to pass it along." When she dropped him at the bus stop, Maya impulsively handed him her business card. "If you ever need anything." Marcus glanced at it, eyebrows raising slightly at her title. "Thank you, Miss Chen." "Maya," she corrected. "Maya." He nodded and stepped out of the car. For the next week, Maya couldn't stop thinking about their encounter. Not just his kindness, but the quality of his presence. Completely there, completely himself. In her world of endless meetings and networking events, she'd forgotten what that felt like. She found herself driving the same desert route the following weekend, telling herself she was just exploring. When she spotted Marcus's figure in the distance, hiking toward the mountains with a heavy pack, she pulled over. "Need a ride to the trailhead?" she called out. He turned, smiled when he recognized her. "Maya, everything okay with the car?" "Perfect. But I was thinking, I've never done any hiking. Maybe you could show me the basics?" Marcus studied her designer hiking boots, clearly brand new, and her expensive athletic wear. "It's not exactly a casual stroll." "I'm tougher than I look." Something in her tone made him nod. "All right, but we start easy." The next 3 hours changed everything for Maya. Marcus didn't just show her how to read trail markers and conserve water, he showed her how to see, how to spot the barely visible movements that meant wildlife nearby, how to read the sky for weather changes, how to find beauty in the stark landscape. "Most people think the desert is empty," he said as they rested in the shade of an overhanging rock, "but it's full of life. You just have to know how to look." Maya realized he wasn't just talking about the desert. "Have dinner with me," she said suddenly. Marcus looked surprised. I'm not really the restaurant type. Not a restaurant, let me cook for you. I make excellent takeout orders. He laughed, the first full laugh she'd heard from him. All right, but I cook. You can watch. That evening, in the kitchen of her Malibu house, Maya sat at the counter while Marcus prepared what he called regular food: seasoned chicken, rice, vegetables sautéed to perfection. She'd eaten at Michelin-starred restaurants around the world, but nothing had tasted this good. Where did you learn to cook? She asked. Foster homes, some good, some not so good. But I always helped in the kitchen when they'd let me. Cooking for people. He paused, thinking, it's another way of taking care of them. They talked until 2 a.m. About his childhood, her pressure-filled rise in tech, about what it meant to build something meaningful. When he left, Maya felt more herself than she had in years. 3 weeks later, Maya brought Marcus as her date to her company's annual gala. She'd expected whispers, stares, awkward questions. She got all of that and more. Interesting choice, her business partner David said with a thin smile. He's very authentic. Maya bristled. He's very wonderful. Of course. Just wondering if this is the image we want for the company right now. We're trying to close the Henderson deal. The image of dating someone I care about? Marcus appeared beside her, handing her a glass of water. He'd been quiet most of the evening, politely answering questions about his work, his background. She could see the tension in his shoulders. Everything okay? He asked. Before she could answer, David continued. We were just discussing perception, Marcus. Surely you understand that in business, appearances matter. Marcus set down his own glass carefully. I understand that some people confuse appearance with substance. His voice remained level. But I also understand that Maya built this company on the idea that technology should serve everyone, not just people who look like us. David's face flushed. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. Marcus turned to Maya. I'm gonna get some air. Maya found him on the terrace, leaning against the railing. I'm sorry, she said. David's an ass. It's not about David. Marcus turned to face her. It's about this whole world. They see me and they make assumptions. Poor kid, probably after your money, couldn't possibly offer you anything real. I don't see you that way. No, but you brought me here to prove something. To them or to yourself, I'm not sure which. The truth of it stung. Maybe I did. They stood in silence, the sounds of the party drifting through the open doors. I don't fit in this world, Maya, Marcus said quietly, and I'm not sure you really want me to. I want you to be you. That's all I've ever wanted. In your world, that's not always enough. A week passed without contact. Maya threw herself into work, but everything felt hollow. When her assistant mentioned a local news story about a hiker rescued in the desert, Maya's heart jumped, but it wasn't Marcus. She couldn't stand it anymore. That weekend, she drove back to the desert, to the bus stop where she dropped him that first day. She waited for hours. As the sun began to set, painting the landscape in brilliant oranges and purples, Marcus's bus arrived. He stepped off, saw her and stopped. I've been thinking, she said, approaching slowly, about what you said, about proving something. Maya? You were right. I did bring you to that party to prove something. But not what you think. She took a breath. I wanted to prove to myself that I was brave enough to choose something real over something easy. Marcus studied her face. And? I wasn't. Not that night. But I am now. She gestured around them. This is where we met. In the middle of nowhere, when I was broken down and you helped me without asking for anything in return. Not because of who I was or what I had, but because it was the right thing to do. She stepped closer. I don't want you to fit into my world, Marcus. I want to help you build a new one, together. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, what does that look like? I don't know. Maybe we figure it out as we go. She smiled. I did quit my company this week. You what? David and I had a disagreement about values. Turns out mine have changed recently. She pulled a folder from her car. I've been thinking about your paramedic training and desert rescue and how many people get stranded out here without help. She handed him the folder. Inside were architectural sketches, budget projections, and a business plan for a desert emergency response station, part training facility, part rescue coordination center. You want to build a rescue station? I want to build it with you, if you're interested. Marcus flipped through the pages, his expression unreadable. This would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. I have hundreds of thousands of dollars, and for the first time in my life, I know exactly how I want to spend them. He looked up at her. What do you know about running a nonprofit? Nothing. What do you know about writing grant proposals? Nothing. They looked at each other and burst into laughter. We're going to fail spectacularly, Maya said. Probably. Marcus closed the folder and held it against his chest. When do we start? 2 years later, the Joshua Tree Desert Rescue Center stood as a testament to what could be built with patience, purpose, and partnership. The facility housed training classrooms, equipment storage, and a coordination center for emergency responses across a 100-mile radius. Maya stood in the main classroom, watching Marcus demonstrate wilderness first aid to a group of volunteers. He commanded the room effortlessly, his knowledge and passion evident in every word. She no longer wondered if she'd made the right choice. She knew it every day. The first rule of desert rescue, Marcus was saying, is that anyone can need help. Rich, poor, experienced, inexperienced, the desert doesn't care. It's our job to care. After the class, they walked together through the facility. The walls were covered with photos from rescues, thank you letters from saved hikers, and certificates recognizing their work. Any regrets? Marcus asked, slipping his hand into hers. Maya thought about her old life, the boardrooms, the networking events, the constant pressure to accumulate more wealth, more status. Then she looked around at what they'd built together. Only one, she said. What's that? She smiled and pulled him closer. That it took a broken-down car for me to find you. Well, Marcus said, kissing her forehead, some of the best rescues start with someone being lost. Outside, the desert stretched endlessly under a canopy of stars, no longer empty, but full of possibility. In the distance, their radio crackled to life. Someone needed help. Together, they answered the call.